Hey guys, welcome back to our IsoDevotion series. I want to pick up today where we left off yesterday. Jesus called a man, a tax collector called Levi, to follow him, but then went back to Levi's place where he partied, and he copped an earful from the religious establishment saying, "Why is Jesus hanging out with such people? How dare he?" And Jesus said, "Hey, I didn't come to call the righteous, but I came to call sinners." I just want to look at that term sinner. It's a bit of a loaded term these days. As people, we don't actually like to be told that we're wrong in any way or that we've messed up in some way, and particularly that term to be a sinner is something that can cause offense quite easily. It has a whole lot of baggage associated with it. We often picture the sandwich board sign street preachers who are calling people to turn or burn and calling everyone a sinner, and sometimes it's kind of connected to an accusational pointing of the finger, like you're a dirty, rotten sinner. Is that what Jesus meant when he was talking about calling sinners? The Bible does use the word sinner and clearly teaches that all of us have fallen short of God's perfect standard. We have sin in our life. To have sin or to be sinful is to miss the mark, to miss God's perfect standard, and we are all in that same boat. But I love the way that Scripture talks about our relationship with God. We are sinners called to follow him, and then later on Jesus talks to his disciples and he doesn't refer to them as sinners anymore but as servants. He washes their feet and he gives them an example to be a servant to all. Our identity doesn't stay as being a sinner. We go from being a sinner to becoming a servant. Then at another time he says, "I no longer call you servants, because a servant doesn't know what his master is up to, but now I call you friends." So we go from being a sinner to a servant to a friend, and then Paul in his writing takes it even a step further and calls us sons. He says here in Romans chapter 8, "Those who are led by the Spirit of God are sons of God. You didn't receive a spirit that makes you a slave again to fear, but you received a spirit of sonship, and by him we cry, Abba, Father," or Daddy. The Spirit himself testifies with our spirit that we are God's children. So the coming of Jesus takes people who are sinners, who recognize that they have fallen short of God's good standard, creates in us a capacity to serve and to give our lives for others, calls us his friends because we're on about his business, and the transition is complete as he calls us his own sons and daughters. He never diminishes the destructive power that sin can have in our life, but he recognizes that we who follow Christ, if you are following Christ, your identity is no longer as a sinner, but as a son, and we are adopted into a brand new family where we can become known as the sons and daughters of the living God.